the Corvette is actually pretty good with the default settings. It's a little bit oversteery. It does have the sports hard tire rather than my usual choice of tire, which would be the sports soft tire. So it would stick better with obviously with grippier tires. But the car is not completely undrivable, or at least not dissatisfactory to drive with the default settings. And something about these premium sports cars is they should be very good to drive without having to make any changes to the car. And that's what's missing in Gran Turismo with basically every car, is they have to be tuned in order to be pleasurable to drive. But not this one. This one's pretty good, just a little bit oversteering. Let's talk about it. Let's get into the settings. Everything's default. And it has a relatively stiff front natural frequency, but it's softer than my usual choice of natural frequencies. However, it makes it drive really well. I don't know what the default anti-roll bar stiffness actually is. The level 1 doesn't mean anything. It just means it's the lowest value in the game. So it could be stiff or it could be soft. I don't really know. But it drives a lot better than other cars with anti-roll bar at level 1 setting. Again, the differential is fairly open. With these tires, it slides pretty gradually anyway, so it's not really noticeable. It doesn't snap loose as drastically as with the sports soft tire, so the open differential is not as noticeable of a problem. The cambers, a lot of the performance, not saying the peak performance, but the general performance of the car is coming from these camber settings, is that having low front negative camber is, compared to the rear especially, is allowing the cars to have a more balanced drive, meaning this car is a mid-engine car, has a lot of rotational inertia, and to counteract that rotational inertia, there's effectively less grip than what's possible by having a low negative camber angle. So it could corner faster with more camber angle, but like I said, it counteracts the oversteer by reducing the front grip. So it's just a strange way to make the car handle well, but not achieve peak performance. It's not as aero sensitive. There's not as much aerodynamic performance coming from the car. Could be under tray stuff, I don't really know, but it's riding relatively high for having under tray effects. So having the high ride height makes it so that the under tray doesn't really affect the car as much. But also having the equal ride height front and rear, so there's zero rake in the car, allows the car to push on throttle, not really push, but it doesn't want to rotate as easily as if it had more rake, more front end dive naturally in the car. And that's about all I have to say about it. I don't like the dampers. I always don't like really soft dampers, but it's drivable with the settings that it has. I guess it's compensating with relatively stiffer natural frequencies. The car slides fairly well, so it's not too undrivable with these low damper settings. Having stiffer damper settings makes the car easier to slide, or more controllable to slide, I should say. But like I said, it slides pretty controllably. So let's drive it here at Spa. It's not Spa, Le Mans. Completely different tracks with no chicanes. I really like the HUD on the windscreen. It's displaying just enough information. There's an oversteer that is a bit too much, in my opinion. That's very high speed corner, that one. The turn 1 at Le Mans. And it's very high speed to be going sideways at. So if I were to tune the car, which I will eventually, let's fourth gear, I would tune out some of the oversteer on the brakes. And also tune in a little bit more front end grip with the negative camber angles. There's that controllable slide. Very easy to control. Gonna reach top speed here. 190 something, I think. Maybe push 200. The car does have 8 gears, but it's mostly for street driving. Don't need a 7th or 8th on the track. I have to brake very early here because there's not very much aero on the car. The aero performance is very, it's not tuned for high downforce. Doesn't have a wing. This is a great track to open up the car, reach top speed in a couple places. I don't quite have the brake zones memorized right now. I've only done a couple laps. But I noticed first and second gear are basically useless, as well as 7th and 8th. Second, maybe for the tightest corners, some of the slower tracks. But even then, it's still really, really short. Second gear, that is. So it's basically unusable. Got to brake early here. Can't corner very quickly without aerodynamics, or the aerodynamic package of a higher grade car. Really wants to oversteer at 100 miles an hour or so, above 100 miles an hour. Got to be gentle with the steering. Lift off oversteer here and here. Throttle oversteer. Very fun four-wheel drifts. Car that four-wheel drifts everywhere. Right early. A little bit late. Pushing it. Made the corner. Pushed it a little bit excessively. And there's a lap of Le Mans. And now the replay. So what's disappointing about the C8 Corvette is it's basically another Ferrari knockoff. It's a very good car on its own, and I'm sure they did their own research to design the car at Chevrolet. However, essentially it's just a budget Ferrari. It's $80,000 to $100,000 depending on the package you purchase from the dealership. But it's just another mid-engine sports car that's, again, you get a lot of bang for your buck for what it is. But it's nothing special. I'd kind of classify it the same way as a McLaren. The McLarens are not spectacular sports cars, but they're very, very good sports cars. And likewise, this is also a very good sports car. And I do hope they keep the C7 in production. It's a very beautiful car. It doesn't perform as well as the C8. The C8 definitely does perform better than the C7 just by the nature of being mid-engine. But the C7 is beautiful, beautiful car. As this is also a beautiful car, but for the roadster style, that C7 is spectacularly good looking. Till the next one.